Okay. Was there a question?
Yes.
Yeah.
Two. One, is Veronica going to be in this class?
No.
Aw.
That I'm aware of.
Get her.
I don't believe so.
Two.
I know,
Four.
she's terrific, and I'm sad that she's not here too.
You don't have anyone to back you up. But the second,
Oh, I'll find someone. Don't worry.
Oh yeah.
That focus is going to shift to somebody else. It could be you.
Second question. For this head model, are we going to go over how to do proper eyebrows? Because I remember the first class was more like make little strips.
Oh, gotcha.
Moved, and I mean like actual eyebrows where you move the face with it and actually look nice and not collide with the geometry and all that
Yes.
stuff.
Yes.
Or be away from the face.
That will be part of it. So, yeah.
Are you gonna go over like just like photogrammetry at all? Because that's like really cool, and that has a lot to do with like modeling realistic people.
It is not my intent to do that.
Uh-huh.
Because the goal, we're using the head as a means by which to cover these topics. It's not so much about modeling the human head as it is about learning the tools that you can use to model something as complex as a human head. So it's a fine distinction, but
Okay.
it is a distinction.
Are you going to show us the tool for drawing the contour lines?
Drawing the contour.
Like I remember one guy showed me that you can make it so that you can have like a layer over the initial mesh and kind of draw out how you want the edge loops to be placed, and then it becomes that's the order of the edge loops in certain curves and stuff like that.
Okay. That isn't currently part of the content, but it certainly could be.
Okay. Because
So
I think
if there's
that's a
interest in
very
it, we can
useful
certainly
thing.
include that. Absolutely. Okay. So all of the approaches to modeling this, notwithstanding, which we will get into next week. The starting point for this is you need reference material. You need to have photographs or sketches that show the shape of the character's head and face so that you can place them in the 3D environment and use those as a guide to getting features in the right place at the right proportion, right location, all that. So tonight what we're going to talk about, and again it's going to be a fairly brief evening tonight, just to kind of get people rolling. We're not actually going to be in Maya at all this evening. We're going to start out in Photoshop. So when you're head modeling, you're doing a head model, you basically need two views. You need a full face front view, and you need a side view. And these are the two views that you model from. Basically, because those are the two views. Within those two views, you can see all of the features and the detail that you need to include in your head model. And then by placing those in the 3D environment, you can use them as reference and also make adjustments to position and such, so that things end up in the right place. Yes?
Why don't we need the top and the back?
I'm sorry?
Why don't we need the top and the back?
Great question. So if I were to, let's say I took Alan here, and I took a picture of the top of his head, what am I going to see?
Hair. Top of his head and I guess the features from that angle though.
Maybe the top of the ears.
Yeah, see, there's not a lot of detail there. We'd see, like you said, the top of his ears. We might see, how far his nose comes out from his facial plane. And if we look at the back of his head, what are we going to see? Kind of the same thing, right? So now the details that do show up in, let's say, the top view, where his ears are located and the angle and such, we can get that from the front view. We can tell kind of how his ears are angled from the front view. For the distance of his nose from his facial plane, We get that from the side view. And there's a lot of other information there as well. There's the eye location, the lip location, all of that stuff. So anytime you're building a character's head, the front of the head back to the ears is the most detailed part. And it's usually the most detailed part of any body. Now we're not talking about like a guy who's in, like an Army Ranger who's got, a big shoulder strap of ammo and 18 pockets on his pants and all that. That's all detail that's in the costume. We're talking about the figure, the human figure. Most of the detail is in the face, from the front of the face back to the ears. In fact, once you model the front of the head, one of the things that a good modeler will do, there's a lot of details, there's a lot of geometry in the front of the face. As you move to the back and the top of the head, there's significantly less detail. So a good modeler will actually take the amount of geometry that's in the front back to the side of the head and start to reduce that down so that there aren't quite as many edge loops. It gets reduced down, because once you get to the back of the head, there's no need for all that detail, because you're basically just describing a curve at that point. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, so we're going to start with 2 views. And you can take pictures of your own, or you can grab pictures. If you want to model somebody that you know, then it's a good idea to grab pictures of front and side view. If you want to do, we've had folks in here do celebrity heads before. John Lennon, Johnny Depp. Somebody did Justin Bieber last year. I don't know why. Because they wanted to, is the answer. You can do that, but it gets a little trickier because you really need a flat front view and a flat side view. And typically those pictures don't get published because they're not terribly interesting to look at. A 3/4 view of a head is always more interesting to look at, where the head is slightly turned one direction or the other, because it provides more detail and more sort of more surface irregularities. So the other issue with doing celebrity models from photographs or online is they need to be of a sufficient resolution. You need to be at least 640 by 480 in terms of image size. Anything smaller than that and the image starts to pixelate and you lose detail, you can't really tell where things go. So you are welcome to do that. What I would recommend strongly is, if you want to do that, find your reference photos and then run them by me and let's take a look at them and see if they're going to be sufficient to provide you with the detail and the angle that you need. I had somebody one time, they desperately want to do Jason Statham. Did I pronounce that right? Jason Statham. All right. And they had a great side view of him, but they had a front view that was just a little bit off to the side, a little bit 3/4, and they had a heck of a time getting the face to actually look like him because you couldn't really reference where elements were. So
basically, you need a celebrity that's been arrested and you have access
yes,
to the rest
yeah, absolutely. Celebrity booking photos are awesome because they take a full front, a full side.
In general are good because it's a front and side view.
Yeah. So these are some pictures of my son from several years ago. You could tell he was thrilled to death to be helping me with this.
Was he arrested once?
No. These were taken in my kitchen. He's just not happy to be doing this. That's all. So we got a good front and a good side view. What we have to do now is make sure that these match. We have to make sure that they're of a similar scale. Because even if nobody moves, think about this. You're going to take pictures of me for reference, and you're standing like right where this bottle is, standing right there. You don't move at all, right? And you're going to take a reference photo of me, and I'm up against the wall, right? Look where my head is. Okay. Then you go, okay, now side view. Did I move away from the wall?
Little bit.
A little bit, right? So did I get closer to the camera? A little bit. So what's going to happen to the scale of my head in that picture? It's going to be bigger. So we want to make sure that these match.
So it's better to have them away from the wall.
Even in the act of turning, you know, unless you're taking pictures of a ballerina who knows how to be on a particular point, then turn around. There's always going to be a little bit of movement side to side. So this is a step that you don't want to skip. And the reason you don't want to skip this is because if these don't match, when you take them into Maya, don't frown. I'll get there. Claude's back there going, I'm not sure where he's going with this. I'll get there. If these don't match when you take them into Maya, trying to get all of your features in the right place is going to be a nightmare, because as soon as you move the nose into place in the front view and then you check it in the side view, it'll be off. So then you move it again and then you go back to the front view and it's off. And then you start pulling out your hair and you're like, God damn it, Paul, what have you done to me? And it's because your pictures don't match. Yeah.
For this first project, do we have to use real like a real picture, or can you use a drawing for your own character?
In this case, I would prefer that you use a picture.
Okay.
Mostly because it's going to give you the opportunity to do some more detailed modeling, and you can always simplify things from a more detailed approach. Going up from a really, we did the simple model in the first class. The intent here is to have you do something a little more complicated to help build your skill set.
And then eventually we'll do another one, right?
Sure. Yeah. Well, and later this semester we're going to get into Mudbox, which makes modeling significantly less painful.
Are we gonna do that one thing with like the trolls?
Yep. Yes, we are. All right. So there's my front view. There's my side view. So what I want to do is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to take these and put them both in the same file. Come on.
Taping, right?
Sorry?
You taping? Are you recording?
Yes, absolutely. So you can see here that I'm going to make this a little bigger. Canvas size. This. Now make the width, I don't know, 8. Make it really wide. But you can see that these two pictures, the head size is not even close to the same. Right? Here's his chin is way up here and it's down here. So what we need to do is get in here and scale these pictures so that they're basically the same size. And we could eyeball this, but that's not going to give us a satisfactory result. So I'm going to just turn this into a layer so I can adjust it. The easiest way to do this is with the guides that Photoshop provides from the rulers. So if your rulers aren't showing, it used to be just R. What is it now?
View.
Sorry?
View ruler.
View ruler. Oh, it's Command R. So if they're not showing, hold down the Command key and hit R. You can turn the rulers on and off. When the rulers are on here, you can come up here into the ruler itself or the vertical rule. Click and hold and then drag down and you get this guideline that comes down. And what you want to do is place these at landmarks on the face, and especially landmarks that are not going to change. So if he'd, let's say that, in the front view he was doing this neutral face, but in the side view he was grinning a little bit or he was frowning a little bit, that's going to change the location of the corner of his mouth, right? So we may or may not be able to use that guide, that position as a guide. But there are some things we absolutely can use. Corners of the eyes, the underside of the nose, the underside of his chin, those sorts of things typically are not going to move as much as some of the more malleable parts of the face. If he hadn't had the hat on, we could use the top of his ear. He does have a hat on, so we can't. But I'm going to take this, I'm going to bring this guide down, and you're always going to scale down. You always want to go down to the smaller size, you don't want to scale the smaller image up, because a pixel is a pixel is a pixel in Photoshop, and scaling an image from a smaller size to a larger size just enlarges the pixels. It doesn't help the resolution of the image any. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this side head and scale it down so it matches the front view. So I'm going to take my guide, I'm going to bring it down, and I'm going to see his eyes are not quite even. Actually, most people's aren't. All of our eyes are slightly higher or lower than the other. But the one I care about is the one that's on the same side as his side view. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it right in the corner of his eye, right there. And then I'm going to take this image, I'm going to slide it up so that the corner of his eye in the side view is on the line just like the corner of his eye in the front view. And then what I can do is take this, and let's say we're going to use the underside of his nose. So we're going to place this where his nose attaches to his face, right there. And you can see that this is a little bit off. So what I want to do here is I'm going to grab this layer, and I'm going to get my scaling tool, and we'll put this, put it right there. And then I want to grab the corner of the image, click and hold down Shift so that we scale uniformly, and then scale this down a little bit. And that didn't stick at all, so we'll pretend that it did. So I'm just going to scale this down a little bit at a time and kind of reposition it. Remember, I know that the eye is lined up, so now what I'm looking for is getting this line here under his nose to be under his nose right there, and that's pretty close. And we might have to make some other adjustments as we go, but that's not bad. Another mark we can use would be, say, under his chin. So we can take this down, put it right here at the underside of his chin, and we still might need to scale this down just a little bit. So usually if you can get 2 or 3 really good marks to help you figure out the scaling, and you're never going to get it perfect. It's never going to be perfect, but you want to get it as close as you possibly can. And this isn't too bad. This works pretty well. Maybe just up just a tiny bit. So now what I would recommend you do, once you've got this scaled the way that you want it scaled, apply, is save the file. Save the file that has both of them in it. File, save as, and I'm going to go to the desktop again. Don't do what I do. File, front, side, and just save the Photoshop file. Always save your source file because it'll come in handy at some later date. The minute you don't save it is when you're going to need it. Now, so you can see if you look here that these pictures are not quite the same size. This one's a little bit longer. They can be different widths from each other, but they need to be the same height. That's another thing that you need to have uniform when it's in Maya's. They need to be exactly the same height. So I'm going to take my crop tool right here, and I'm going to crop this this image down to just the 2 images front and side. I'm going to make sure that I'm on the image. I could actually bring it up even further if I wanted to, because I'm not going to model too much past his neck. So we can do that, and we can bring this down a little bit if we wanted to, and then hit return. And now I know my height is the same on both of these. Okay, and then I can resave this. And then finally what I want to do is separate these two out so that there's a front view and a side view that are the same size, they're scaled the same, and they're the same height. So with my crop still on, I'm going to come over here and just grab this side one, bring it in like this, crop that, do a save as, and this would be Kyle front. There we go. Save that. And then I'm just going to step backward, do the edit step backward to undo that crop to get both of them back. And then bring this in and crop it down and save as. And we're going to do Kyle side and OK. And now what we've got are two files that are the same size. Oh, I got bad. Oh, I got the wrong chunk. Dang it. Oh, another layer. I'll delete that layer. Let's try that again. Up we go. Down we go. Go up here. So now these are the same size image. The features line up. I'm just moving these around so you can see. So all the features line up. They've been scaled appropriately, and they're ready as individual images to go into Maya now to start modeling. Question? That all makes sense? It's all good? Yes?
Yeah, where can you find the images that you want to put down?
Well, like I said, if you want to do a model of somebody you know, then you'll need to take the pictures. You'll need to take photographs of them. If you want to do a celebrity, an athlete, somebody like that, then you'll do an image search online.
How easy is it to get images that are
Not that easy.
What's that? How do you get images that are front and side? Well, that's what I was saying earlier. Is getting full front and full side views of some noteworthy person is much more difficult than actually taking pictures of people that you know. So it is doable. It's been done before. Alan's comment was not. I mean, it was funny, but it's accurate. If you really want to do a celebrity, pick one that's been arrested. Because if you go to, if you do a search on celebrity mugshots, then you got all these. Anybody want to model Bill Cosby? Yeah, you're right there. And most mugshots are front view and side view.
And are they the same size?
See, like here's David. You want to do David Bowie? There you go, right there. You got his front view, you got his
Probably
side
still
view.
have to scale them.
You would probably have to scale. This is 800 by 533, so that's actually not bad. It's 533 high, which is a little more than 480. So this would actually work pretty well. Here's Frank Sinatra. Not a great side view, but usable. But you know, there you go. This is Jim Morrison. A little harder to tell what's going on because of the beard, but I don't think that's real. I'm pretty sure that's not real. But there are plenty of these out there. You just need to search for them. There's Elvis. So, yeah. Anybody want to make a Tupac head? There you go, right there. Great reference. So there's loads and loads of them out there. Mick Jagger. There you go.
A young Mick Jagger.
That's a really young Mick Jagger. With the upside is you won't have to model quite so many wrinkles.
Yes.
Now it'd be a nightmare trying to do that. But yeah, if you want to, if you want to do a celebrity, your best bet is to do one that got arrested, because you'll generally find their mugshots. Not always, but you can. Otherwise, you just need to do a search on, whoever it is, and then just start going through the images and see if you can find one that's a front view and one that's a side view that are sufficiently large. Again, I wouldn't go under anything that's the width is not as important, but the height is important. So I wouldn't go with any image that's under 480 pixels tall. And for those of you who don't know, that's the second number. The second number is always the height of the image. So if it says, like on the David Bowie one, it says it's, well, this one's 340 by 480. 347 by 480. So it's 347 pixels wide and 480 pixels tall, which is pretty good. His whole head isn't that height, but this is usable. It's workable. If you could find one that's a little higher resolution, that would be better. But sometimes it's significantly easier just to use somebody you know. The example that you see here that's on our webpage, this was the student's husband. He has significantly more hair than that, but she took front and side views of her husband and used those as a reference and then modeled it. So people that you know that you can put up against the wall and go, okay, look straight at me, and then look straight, to the side. It's a little bit easier with those folks. Otherwise, you're at the mercy of whatever's on the web. Does that answer it for you, Tiger?
Is there a maximum photo size that you don't want to go over? Like 1300 per height?
That's not terrible. You don't want to go gigantic. Like you wouldn't want to do like a 4K image because it starts to slow down the processing speed when you're in Maya. Things get a little laggy.
We'll need it for texturing though.
Well, you're going to be painting your own textures, so you'll be surfacing your own stuff. So because typically that photo is going to have curves to it, and you won't, unless somebody has flayed someone's face, laid out their skin, it's going to be very hard to use the actual existing photo. Yeah, Nina.
Should we try to avoid people with facial hair?
I'm sorry, one more time?
Should we try avoiding people with facial hair?
You will be able to see details on the face better if there's no facial hair. We're not really going to while we'll tackle things like a brow ridge and whatnot, not really going to delve too much into putting hair on this face model. We're going to probably talk about doing hair later in the semester. So you could always circle back and put on a beard or hair or what have you. But for the purposes of creating this model and texturing it, rigging it up, we're not going to deal with simulation, hair simulation, because it is a processing hog. It takes so much effort, so many cycles, so much computing power that it's not practical to do in this environment. But you could go back later and put hair on things. But for modeling purposes, yeah, you typically want to avoid that just because it makes it easier to see what's going on the face. Okay. Let's minimize this. And then we will take a look at the assignment for the week. And it's pretty straightforward. So you're going to create or find reference photos you want to use to model your head. So you need 2 full front face and a full head side view. The resolution should be high enough so that when you're moving in and out as you're modeling, it's not going to pixelate on you. You're not going to get big chunky blocks of pixels. So you want to size the photos like I demonstrated to make sure that the features match and the sizing is roughly the same, and then crop them down so that there's one of each. And let's bring them in next week. And next week we'll talk about how to load them into Maya, how to start your model, and all those details. Sound good? All right. So yeah, like I said, only about an hour tonight. So we'll get it started gently. Yeah.
You said you didn't like 3/4 faces with the front and side. What happens if it's 3/4 on the other side of the face that you don't see on the side view?
You lost me about halfway through that.
This looks more like a 3/4 view, but it's not.
Yeah. So first of all, that's already a model, so you wouldn't use that as a.
Oh.
You wouldn't use that as a reference image. You want a photograph. By the way, if you're going to use, stick with me, gang. If you're going to use photographs of celebrities, try and find, it's not always possible, but try and find front and side that have a similar expression. Because if your side view has your individual's mouth closed, they're not talking, and then you go to the front view and their mouth is open or they're, in the middle of saying something, it's going to change the dimensions of their face. So it's going to make it harder to line everything up. So, yeah, you want to stay away from 3/4 views as much as you possibly can. It just makes it hard to line images up. It makes it hard to line features up because that angle is slightly off. And you're going to be starting with a picture on a image plane that faces the front view, and you're going to start with another image on an image plane that faces the side view. So if those images aren't facing directly along the axis that runs the length of that, it makes it harder to line things up. So, and if that's who you're interested in modeling, you shouldn't have any trouble finding pictures that are suitable. It's not like he hasn't been in the press a lot the last year. Okay.
Sometimes you can actually Google, like, so-and-so side view, so-and-so front view.
Okay. Yeah, give that a shot too. You know, whoever it is you want to model, stick front view and side view in the Google search. My girlfriend will tell you that the Google search is amazing and it can do all kinds of things that you didn't even know about. Like, yeah, honey, I know you work there. It's wonderful. But she's right. There's a lot of cool stuff that it can do that most people don't know. So, all right. So, yeah, you're gonna find your images, scale them, crop them down to size, bring them in next week. Let's take a look at them. Make sure everybody has viable images, and then starting next week, we'll dig into modeling the heads.
I'm assuming it has to be a human.
Human would be great. If you can get a picture of something that is non-human, that'd be even better.
Oh, cats, dogs, birds.
Can I get check on two
Yeah,
pictures?
absolutely. Let me stop the recording. By the way, I mentioned before there's a lecture video link. Here it is right here in the first module. This is where, let me get your attention, gang. This is where all the videos will be uploaded to this link right here. So you can bookmark this link if you want to watch a video again. You just can't get enough of me and you want to hear me, my lovely dulcet tones over and over again. This is where they'll all be. So if 4 weeks in you go, I don't see the video from last week, I will say, did you go to the link? So make sure that you're going to the to this link right here. It's already set up. So if I click on it, that's not the one I meant to click on. Sorry. Where are we? Web access. Lecture videos. See, there's our site. There's nothing up yet because we're still recording the first one. But that'll be up before the evening's done. And our first one will be up here, and then there'll be one every week. And while we're at it,